My beloved child, pause for a moment. Do not take another step until you listen carefully to what I want to tell you. Only a few hours ago, you let out a deep sigh. You believed no one noticed it. But I heard every part of it. Not one breath escaped my attention. I saw everything your heart has been carrying. I am not speaking to you today to bring up the past again. I am speaking because you are about to walk away from something you do not fully understand. If you leave before hearing my words, you may spend many years asking yourself why you gave up at that moment. Do not give up on that person. Not now, not today. I know exactly how much those words cost you. I know everything you have gone through with them. I know about the long silences. I know the words that hurt your heart. I know the times you gave everything you could and felt like nothing came back to you. I watched every night when you replayed each conversation in your mind, searching for even one reason to keep believing it was worth holding on. I saw every moment, and today I tell you with all the authority of heaven that your time has not been wasted. You have been standing exactly where I asked you to stand. Declare your amen if you have faith. In my kingdom, no one enters your life by accident. No one. Not those who remained, not those who walked away, and not this person. The one whose name is in your thoughts even now as you hear these words. Every person who has crossed the path of your life was allowed there by my hand. And this person, this very soul who has stretched your patience and tested the depth of your love, did not come into your life by chance. I placed them there with purpose. A purpose so carefully planned and so perfectly arranged that, if I revealed the whole picture to you today, it would leave you speechless. I have not shown you everything yet. Not because I want to keep it from you, but because this part of your story is still unfolding. Right now, you are living through a chapter that seems like defeat. But from where I see the complete story, this is the chapter that comes just before everything begins to change. You have looked at this person and noticed their weaknesses, their distance, their silence, and their inability to meet you where you are. Because of those things, you started believing that all your love was being poured into ground that would never produce anything. Listen to me very carefully. The ground you believe is empty is not empty. It simply has not reached its appointed season. Every seed you planted through your love, your patience, your tears, and your decision to stay has remained alive. It is growing beneath the surface where your eyes cannot see. And the harvest that is coming will amaze you. I placed you in that person's life because you carry something they cannot receive from anyone else. Not because you are perfect. Not because you have no wounds of your own. But because I placed inside you a special grace. A unique kind of love that can reach the hidden places inside them that no one else has been able to touch. Where others saw someone not worth their effort, I saw who they could become. And I trusted you to keep believing in that future, even when they could not believe it themselves. This relationship has been more than a connection. It has also been a mirror. Through everything that has happened between you, I have been revealing your own heart to you. The fears that still needed healing. The places that still needed growth. The strength you never knew you carried until this season called it out of you. Nothing you experienced has been meaningless. Every difficult moment has been shaping you in ways that easier days never could. You are not the same person who started this journey. You have become stronger, deeper, and more able to carry the kind of love I created you to give. Say, I believe, if these words are speaking to your spirit. Now let me tell you something about the person you are thinking about. The reason they have resisted you is not because your love was lacking. It is because they have never stood before a light as pure as the one you carry. Your presence has challenged the deepest and most guarded places inside them. The walls they built, the silence they chose, the distance they kept, and the coldness you felt are not proof that you mean nothing to them. They are proof that your presence has touched places they do not know how to handle. People do not build walls against things that have no value. They build walls against the things that have the power to change them. And little by little, you are changing them in the hidden places, where I continue to work beyond human sight. I have been meeting them during the quiet hours, in the moments between sleep and waking, when the noise around them fades and only truth remains. During those moments, I have been showing them what their life would feel like without you. I have shown them the emptiness, the missing place, and the one thing only your presence has been able to bring. They are not ready to admit it yet. But something is changing. The foundation beneath those walls is already shifting. Cracks are beginning to form even though no one else can see them yet. Do not walk away from a wall that is almost ready to fall. The evidence of what I am doing will not arrive with loud announcements. It will come quietly, because that is how lasting things begin. A softer tone in their voice. A moment of honesty you never expected. A small act that carries more meaning than anyone else would understand. A message that comes without warning. A look that speaks more than words ever could. These are not accidents. They are the first signs of a change that has already been happening in the unseen for far longer than you realize. Pay attention to them. Do not ignore them because they seem too small. The first light of morning always begins as only a small glow before it fills the whole sky. My child, I am asking you to take one real step of faith today. Not because your prayers or your waiting have meant nothing, but because faith reaches its fullest expression when it moves beyond the heart and into action. Release a portion of what I have placed in your hands. Place it on the altar of this work as a visible act of surrender. Just as a farmer places seed into the ground before seeing even one drop of rain, the seed does not wait for proof before it is planted. It trusts the soil to do what it was created to do. Sow your seed here. Release it with the confidence of someone who has heard my voice today and has chosen to trust it. Then watch what I do in response to faith that is willing to move. Now let me answer the sign you have been asking me for. You have asked for it quietly, inside your own thoughts, between your prayers, inside those hopes you hardly dared to hold on to. You have been asking me to give you something that would remove every doubt. Something that would give you enough confidence to keep moving forward. Now listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. The sign you have been waiting for is already here. It arrived the moment these words reached your heart. Not because these words have power by themselves, but because I guided you to this very moment. I brought your attention here. That never happens without purpose. I do not bring my children to moments that have nothing prepared for them. The fact that these words touched something deep inside you, the fact that they reached beyond your thoughts and settled in your spirit, the fact that the name of that person immediately came into your mind as you listened. These are not accidents. These are my answers. The sign is not something still ahead of you. The sign is here now. The question is no longer whether I have spoken. The question is whether you will receive what I have said. There were many nights when you went to bed still asking the same questions. Will anything ever be different? Have I been wasting my time? Is any of this truly real? You asked those questions honestly when no one else was around. There was nothing to prove and no one to impress. I heard every one of them. And I want you to know that none of those questions were ignored. Every honest question you have brought before me has been heard, held, and is already being answered. I never turn away from the sincere cries of my children. I simply do not always answer according to human timing or human expectations. State, I trust, if you believe this belongs to your life today. You have been waiting for a sign from the outside. Something impossible to deny. Something that would remove every need to keep believing. But I want you to understand how signs truly work. A sign that leaves no room for faith is no longer a sign. It becomes proof. I work through faith, not through proof alone. Because faith is the place where real transformation grows. If I removed every question and showed you the whole ending today, you would only watch your own story instead of living it. The one who walks through the journey is the one who matters. The one who walks through it is the one who grows. The one who finally reaches the promise understands from experience both the price that was paid and the value of what was gained. You are that person. You always have been. The patience you have shown, your unwillingness to quit, your decision to keep loving when every natural thought told you to leave, none of that has been meaningless. It has become one of the greatest acts of faith I have ever watched you live. Nothing about it has been wasted. It has been preparing something greater. Now let me tell you what is beginning to happen where your eyes can finally see it. The frozen places are starting to soften. Situations that once seemed completely stuck are slowly beginning to move. You will notice changes that seem almost too small to mention, yet deep inside you will know they matter. A conversation that begins without pressure. A gentle change in an atmosphere that has felt cold for so long. A door that once refused to open beginning to move little by little. These are not imagined moments. They are the first visible signs of what I have already been arranging beyond what your eyes could see. Do not ignore them because they appear small. My greatest works usually begin quietly. Then they continue to grow. The fears that have filled your mind are beginning to lose their strength. This is not empty hope. This is what naturally happens when my word settles inside a willing heart. The anxiety that tightened your chest. The constant feeling of dread. The restless nights caused by questions too heavy to carry. Those burdens are beginning to loosen. Not because everything around you has already changed, but because I am placing something inside your spirit that does not depend on changing circumstances. A peace that remains even while things are still unfinished. That peace belongs to me and I am placing it within you now. Declare I receive this today. If your heart is ready, I want to speak about the real purpose of this relationship, because you have been seeing only part of it. You have kept asking whether this relationship is worth everything it has cost you. That is an honest question. But it is looking through the wrong window. The better question is not what it has cost you. The better question is what it is creating. What is growing through your obedience during this season reaches much further than only the two of you. What I am building is more than a restored relationship. It is becoming a testimony, living proof that the world around you desperately needs to witness. That love can remain strong. That patience is not weakness but remarkable strength. That two wounded people can be brought together by my hand into something neither one could have built alone. The influence of this story will not end with you. It will touch people you have never met. It will shape conversations that have not yet taken place. It will reach the children who one day will look at what was built and learn how to love by watching your example. This is work that reaches generations. This is what I do through those who remain when every reasonable voice tells them to leave. You were not given this assignment because it would be easy. You were given it because I knew you could carry it. Not without pain, not without sacrifice, but with the depth of character I always knew was inside you. Even when you questioned yourself, you continued proving that I knew you correctly. Not because you never stumbled, but because every time you stumbled, you chose to remain. That decision, repeated over and over through long seasons of uncertainty, has become the foundation for everything that is now ready to rise. Every tear you cried became a seed. Not one of them disappeared into the ground. Each one has been growing. Very soon they will become something your eyes can finally see. The harvest never announces itself before it arrives. It simply appears. And when you see it, you will know without question that every seed you planted was worth it. Now let me speak directly to you. Not about this situation. Not about that person. About you. You have wondered whether you are enough. Whether your love has been enough. Whether your patience has been enough. Whether you truly have what it takes to finish what I called you to. Let me answer you plainly. You are enough. Not because you have never failed, but because I placed within you everything this calling would ever require. I never give a calling while refusing to provide what is needed to carry it. That is not my way. The calling and the strength to fulfill it were given together. The person you have become through this season is far stronger than you realize. What felt like you were slowly being worn away was actually me shaping you. What seemed like loss was the removal of everything that could never remain, making room for what will last forever. You are being firmly established. The ground beneath your feet is stronger today than it has ever been because of everything you have walked through to reach this place. Do not allow the enemy to convince you that the hard season was proof you had failed. It was proof that I was shaping you. And the person who has come through that shaping is someone I can now trust with what is waiting ahead. What is ahead is good. I speak those words with the full authority of my promise. The season before you is not a repeat of the one behind you. It is completely different. The atmosphere surrounding your life is beginning to change. The resistance that made every step feel like walking through deep water is starting to lift. Things that once demanded great effort will begin to happen with greater ease. The conversations will begin to change. Your interactions will carry a different spirit. The relationship that has brought you the deepest weariness will in time become one of your greatest sources of strength. This is not an uncertain promise. It is something real that has already begun. I am the God who rewards faithfulness. I never overlook my children when they remain in the difficult places where I ask them to stay. I see every moment. I remember every moment. And I answer every moment. What I am preparing in response to what you have given during this season will match the price it cost you. So move forward from this moment remembering 3 things. First, you have never been alone through any part of this journey. I was beside you in every painful conversation, every restless night, every moment you decided to remain when leaving would have been easier. I was there. Second, nothing you have poured into this season has been wasted. There is no waste in my kingdom. Every act of love, every tear you cried, every prayer you prayed, every time you extended grace after your own strength was nearly gone, every one of those moments matters. Everyone is being gathered together. Everyone is leading towards something you will soon witness. And third, the sign you asked me for is real. It is here. This moment did not happen by chance. Your presence here is not random. Something led you to this place. Trust that leading. Trust the one who brought you here. Let your heart become settled in everything I have spoken today. Not as comfort that fades when life becomes difficult again, but as a firm foundation that will support every step from this day forward. You arrived carrying a heavy question. You are leaving with an answer, not because every detail has already been revealed, not because every outcome is already visible, but because the most important truth has been firmly placed inside you. You have been heard. You have been seen. You have never been alone. And what you are doing carries far greater meaning than you realize. My love for you never rises or falls with your success or your doubts. It simply remains. It has always been yours, completely and fully. Now I want to take you even deeper. But before I do, I need to speak about something you have been afraid to bring honestly before me. The question hidden underneath every other question. The one that lives in the deepest place of your heart. You have quietly wondered whether I am truly real. Whether your faith has been reaching toward someone who truly exists, or whether it has only been something you held on to because you needed hope while walking through difficult days. I do not reject that question. I receive it as one of the most honest things you have spoken to me in a long time. And I answer it the same way I answer every sincere question. With truth. Not with a display meant to overpower your doubts, but with something that reaches the place inside you that already knows the difference between what is real and what is false. Deep inside, you already know I am real. Not because someone convinced you. Because you have encountered me yourself. You have known me in moments you could never fully explain. You have known me through the peace that came without any logical reason. You have known me in the feeling of being carried through your darkest nights, when nothing around you should have produced that peace. You have seen events come together in ways too exact to be explained by chance alone. You already have your own testimony. You have simply kept it quiet, because the voices around you have made you cautious about saying openly what you already know within. But you know. And today I am confirming what your heart has already recognized. I am real. I am here. And I am speaking to you now. Everything I am telling you is true. Now let me speak about something that has confused you during this season. The silence. Those times when heaven seemed quiet. Those seasons when it felt as if your prayers rose only to fall back unanswered. Those moments when you felt like you were speaking into emptiness, and nothing answered you. I want you to understand what was truly happening during those silent seasons, because it will change the way you move forward. I was never silent. I was working in places your natural senses could not detect. Most of my work inside people happens beneath everything that can be seen. It happens deep inside the heart, the character, the faith, and the understanding. That kind of work requires quiet. Not the quiet of absence. The quiet of complete attention. A craftsman becomes silent during the most important part of the work, not because they have walked away, but because they are fully focused on what they are creating. That is what those silent seasons were. A presence so deep that from the outside it looked like absence. The same thing has also been happening inside that person. The work I am doing within them is taking place so deeply that even they cannot fully explain it yet. They do not yet have words for what is changing. They may not even recognize it themselves. But the work is happening. I am changing the hidden places inside them in ways that will eventually become visible through their words, their actions, and the way they live. What appears to be no change at all is often the season when the deepest change is taking place. A seed looks exactly the same from the outside, while everything important is happening within it. Trust the process even when you cannot yet see the process. This is the heart of what I am asking from you. Not blind trust, but trust that understands how I work. Trust that chooses to stand with that understanding even before circumstances begin to agree with it. Now, I also want to speak about who you have become during this season. Not only about the role you have carried in that person's life, but about the person you yourself are becoming through all of this. When this season began, you understood unconditional love mostly with your mind. Now you understand it with your whole life. That understanding has moved from knowledge into character. That kind of understanding is completely different. It remains steady when difficulty comes. It keeps its shape, even while everything around it presses against it. You now carry a grace that you could not have carried a year ago. You now have a patience that could only be built in the exact season I prepared for it. You now carry a compassion that could only come from personally living through something that truly cost you. These are not small things. They are the very qualities I use to change lives. The people I work through in the greatest ways are those who have been shaped like this. Those who have learned, not just in words but in real life, what it truly means to remain. Now let me take you deeper, because there is more I want you to understand about what you are carrying and why I entrusted it to you. The work I place in someone's life is never random. I do not place the greatest responsibilities into unprepared hands. I entrust the hardest assignments to those I have carefully prepared, and most often that preparation comes through the very hardships they are later called to walk through. You did not arrive in this season by chance. Everything that came before it, every loss, every lesson, every season that opened your heart through pain, was preparing you for the strength you now have to carry what I have placed before you. Think about what it has taken for you to remain. True patience. The kind that is never performed for others but quietly continues when no one is watching and nothing seems to be changing. True love. The kind that does not depend on what it receives back, but gives because giving has become part of who it is. True faith. Not the kind that believes only when life is easy, but the kind that keeps holding on when nothing around it seems to support hope. These are not ordinary things. These are the marks of someone through whom I can build a testimony. And that is exactly what your story is becoming. Even when you cannot see it, people are watching your life. Others who are carrying impossible relationships of their own are learning from the way you carry yours. Not because you are trying to be seen, but because truth always reaches farther than you realize. The way you continue through this season will touch lives you may never know about while you are here. Your faithfulness is not only shaping your own story, it is leaving a mark on something much greater. Now I want to speak to you about trust. I want to speak about trusting me when you cannot yet see what I am doing. Trust is not the feeling of certainty. Trust is choosing to live as though my word is true before your eyes can prove it. You have been living between the promise I gave and the day you will see it fulfilled. That space is not proof that I forgot you. That space is where faith grows. It is where character is formed. That space is where my deepest work happens in the hearts of my children, because it is there they learn to depend on me, instead of depending only on what they understand. You have remained in that place for a long time. I know how long it has felt. I do not ignore either the length of it or the weight you have carried. But hear me carefully. That season is coming to its close. What has seemed endless truly has an ending, and that ending is much nearer than your tired heart has believed. I am the God of seasons. I created life to move through them, because that is how I designed my children to grow. Difficult seasons are never meant to last forever. Winter always gives way to spring. Not because it happens by chance, but because I built that change into the very order of creation. Your winter is beginning to turn. I already see the change even if you cannot yet feel it. Beneath the surface the ground is warming. What looked completely still is quietly beginning to come alive. You do not need to feel the change before you trust it. I only ask you to remain. Stay. That is all I ask. Stay in faith today. Then stay again tomorrow. Not with forced strength and not by pretending everything is easy. Stay honestly. Admit that it is difficult and choose to trust me anyway. That kind of faith moves heaven. Not the polished version that hides every struggle. The honest faith that says, this is hard, but I still believe. I have seen every part of your struggle. It has never pushed me away from you. It has drawn me even closer. The places where you feel weakest are the very places where my presence rests most deeply, because they need what only I can give. You have never been abandoned in your weakness. I have been holding you there more carefully than you realize. Now let me tell you something about the days ahead. Not in uncertain words, but in real ones. The conversations that once seemed impossible will begin to happen. Not all in one moment and not without effort. But something between you and that person is going to change in a way you cannot deny. There will be a conversation that surprises you. It will open something that has remained closed for a very long time. It will speak through silence as much as through words. When it happens, you will recognize it. Deep inside you will know it is the first clear sign of what I promised. The dreams you have almost stopped holding are still alive. I know you have protected your hope by making it smaller so disappointment would not hurt as much. Now I am asking you to let hope grow again. Not carelessly, but honestly. Hope that stays small only to avoid pain is not faith. Right now I am asking for faith, not caution. Hold firmly to the picture of what this can become. Hold on to what I already see even before you do. Let that vision carry you through the days when what you see has not yet caught up with what I have spoken. You will never regret remaining. I tell you that plainly. One day you will look back at this season, at the very moment you almost walked away but chose to stay, and everything will become clear. The hardship will make sense. The timing will make sense. The path you walked will make sense. And your gratitude will be deeper than words, because it will come from living through something real. You will be thankful that you listened to my voice, instead of the voice that told you everything was finished. It is not finished. It has barely begun. Your home will know peace. Real peace. Not simply the absence of conflict, but the presence of something living, gentle, and lasting. The tension that has filled the atmosphere will begin to fade. Hearts that have stayed guarded will slowly become soft again. The walls will come down little by little at first, and then more completely than you ever imagined. And in the place those walls once stood, something entirely new will be built. Something neither of you could have created by yourselves. Something that carries my hand upon it because it could never exist without me. This is how I work. I build where others believed nothing could ever be built again. I restore what people declared beyond saving. I create a path where everyone believed no path could ever exist. These are not simply beautiful words. This is the very way I work. And I am working like this right now in your situation. In every detail of what is happening between you and that person, and in the hidden places inside both of your hearts. Now I want to speak to you about fear, because beneath your wariness, beneath the question of whether you should stay or leave, there is something deeper. There is fear. I want to name it because once it is brought into the light, it begins to lose its hold. You are afraid that staying will only bring more pain. That you will keep giving your heart only to receive more silence, more distance, and more disappointment. That you will choose the harder road only to arrive at the same empty place. That hope will cost more than you have left to give. I hear that fear. I understand it. After everything you have lived through, it makes sense that you would feel this way. I am not rejecting those feelings or telling you they are wrong. But I am telling you this. That fear is looking at only part of the picture. It is building tomorrow from yesterday. It believes what has always happened must continue to happen. But that pattern is not permanent. It is the very thing I am breaking. Fear always projects the past into the future. It takes what has happened and assumes nothing can ever change. But I do not work that way. I move beyond every prediction. I accomplish what every human calculation says cannot happen. That is not an overstatement of my power. It is simply who I am. I am the God who brings unexpected change. I am the God who does what no one imagined. I am the God who opens a way at the very moment every road appears closed. Your fear is real. Your past is real. And my power to create something completely new in the middle of both is just as real. The question is not whether I can do it. The question is whether you will allow trust to stand beside your fear and choose to follow trust. That is what true faith is. Not living without fear, but choosing trust while fear is still present. Holding both before you and deciding which one will guide your next step. Choose trust. Not because every fear has disappeared, but because you have heard my voice today, and something inside you knows it is true. Let that truth become stronger than the fear. Let it lead your next step. There is something more I want to speak about. The loneliness of this season. The kind of loneliness that comes from carrying something so personal that few people could truly understand it, even if you explained every detail. The loneliness of carrying a calling that belongs only to you. The experience of walking through something that others mistake for stubbornness, when you know in your heart it is something much deeper. You are not stubborn. You are faithful. Those two things are completely different, and I know which one describes you. Stubbornness refuses to move. Faithfulness continues to hold what is right even while every outside pressure tells it to let go. That is what you have been doing. You have continued to hold what is real while everything around you has urged you to release it. That is not weakness. It is a beautiful strength, and I treasure it. This loneliness will not last forever. Community is coming. Understanding is coming. I am already bringing people into your life who have walked similar roads and know what this kind of journey feels like. You will not always carry this burden by yourself. The season of standing alone is ending. Ahead is a season where others will understand your story, where they will help carry it with you, and where what you have learned through this journey will become strength for someone else. You are nearer than you realize. Hold on a little longer. Now I want to answer the quiet question you still carry about that person. Not the larger question about whether to continue. The smaller one you have hardly dared to speak. The question that asks, do they really love me? Have they ever truly seen me? Do I matter to them, or have I simply become someone they are used to having around? I want to answer you clearly. They do see you. They always have. What they have struggled with is not seeing you. It is expressing what they see in a way you can receive. Seeing and expressing are not the same thing. And I am working inside that very space between them. I am building a bridge there. I am reaching the hidden places inside them. The place where they understand what they feel, but have kept locked away through fear, old pain, and wounds that could only begin to heal through the patience you have shown. They will begin to express what has been hidden. Not all at once, not perfectly, but more clearly with time. As the work I am doing inside them rises to the surface, you will slowly discover that you were never as unseen as their silence made you believe. You were always present in their thoughts. Many times they pulled away, not because you meant too little, but because you meant more than they knew how to carry. Keep this truth close. Return to it whenever the difficult days return. It is not empty hope. It is what I see because I see the whole picture. You are known. You are treasured by the one you have continued to love. And beneath every defense they carry, there is deep gratitude for your presence. Even when they have not yet known how to say those words, I am changing that. The expression is coming. Remain where you are. Remain because I am asking you to remain. Remain because what you have been waiting for is real. Remain because the story I am writing is far more beautiful than the ending your tired heart has imagined. I am walking with you through every step that follows. Every single one. You are not entering tomorrow alone. You are walking with the God who planned your future, who holds it securely, and who is personally working for your good. This is not the ending. This is the place where everything begins to change. One day you will look back and say, that was the moment everything started turning. Walk into it. And carry this truth with you every day that follows. I am the God who always keeps my word. Every promise I have spoken over your life still stands. Not one has been canceled. Not one has been forgotten. They remain safely held in the hands of the one who spoke them, and those hands never let go. When the days become difficult, come back to the words I have spoken today. Do not treat them as something from the past, but as a living word that is still working, still active, and still moving toward the fulfillment of every part of your situation. What I have spoken is not only comfort for this moment. It is direction for your journey. Let it guide you. Let it point you back when you feel lost. Let it steady your heart when the voice of doubt grows louder than the voice of faith. And above all else, never forget that you are loved fully, completely, without limits or conditions. That love is the firm ground beneath your feet. It does not change. It does not fail. It belongs completely to you. I want to tell you what faithful love accomplishes in the unseen places. More is happening because of your choices than you can recognize from where you stand. When you choose to remain in love with someone who has not yet learned how to receive it, you are doing more than showing patience to one person. You are standing against the current. The world teaches people to leave as soon as life becomes hard. It teaches that love should always feel easy, or else it is not real. It tells people that protecting themselves should come before everything else. Each time you have chosen another way, every time you have offered grace when the world would have told you to pull it back, you have stood against that current. And that choice matters, not only for you, not only for that person, but for the greater story of what love truly is, and what it is able to accomplish. You are showing something powerful, not for attention, but in the quiet ordinary moments of life. You are showing that love is stronger than disappointment, that it remains when logic says to quit, and that in the end it is stronger than anything that tries to destroy it too soon. That witness carries weight in a realm your natural eyes cannot see. It is being noticed. It is being counted. It is being honored. I also want you to know about my care for your daily life as well as your spiritual life. I am not so focused on eternal things that I overlook your everyday needs. I see every pressure this season has placed upon you. What you carry is not only emotional, there are practical burdens too, and I see every one of them. I have not stepped away from any part of your life. Doors are opening. Not only symbolic doors but real ones. Opportunities that once seemed unavailable are becoming available. Resources that felt beyond your reach are coming closer. People carrying what you need are being guided toward your path. This is not empty hope. It is the result of the faithfulness you have shown through the difficult seasons. I honor that kind of faithfulness with provision. I create a way where there was none. I open what was shut. I increase what seemed too little. I supply what was missing. You are entering a season where the grace that has been gathering over your life will begin to appear in visible and practical ways within your home, your health, and the places that have carried the greatest strain. Watch for it. Receive it when it comes without doubting it or pushing it away because of past disappointments. Welcome it for what it truly is. It is evidence of a father who notices every detail of his child's life and faithfully cares for each one. The things you have asked of me in faith are real requests, and they deserve real answers. Those answers are on their way. Before I finish speaking, let me tell you one more thing. It is about you and me, about the relationship between you and your father. I have never been far from you. Not even once. The silence that sometimes felt like distance was never distance. It was the quietness of a father working very closely, just as a craftsman grows silent when the most careful part of the work begins. I was not absent during your hardest moments. I was nearest to you then. Carry that truth with you into every day that follows. Come to me during ordinary moments, not only in times of desperation. Speak with me when life is peaceful, not only when everything seems to be falling apart. Invite me into your plans, your small choices, and your everyday moments. Because the closeness I desire with you is not built only in times of crisis. It is constant. It is woven through every hour, every conversation, every sunrise, and every dark night. That is the relationship I created you to have. Not one of distance with occasional emergencies, but one of continual, real, everyday closeness. You are going to be all right. More than all right. What is waiting ahead of you is good. Truly good. The kind of goodness that has been prepared, protected, and is now being released in this very season especially for you. Receive it. You were created for it. I hold you, I see you. I have not finished the work I began in your life. Not even close. We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.